You know those mornings, spilled coffee, you're running late, and your phone is just buzzing with a million notifications? We've all been there. It really makes you stop and ask, what even is real happiness? And how in the world are we supposed to find it in all this chaos? Well, let's find out.
What if happiness isn't just one single thing? Imagine for a second that your brain is like this incredible dynamic orchestra. And pure joy, well, that's the symphony it plays. But it's not composed by a single instrument, no. It's created by a perfect balance of all these different chemical players working together in harmony.
Now, in our modern world of instant gratification, we've been sort of trained to chase just one of those instruments, dopamine. We often mistake its short, intense buzz for genuine happiness. But believe me, that is a dangerous illusion.
So how does this dopamine thing actually work? Well, it's our reward chemical. When you get that little digital hit from a like on social media, your neurons release a shot of dopamine. It's this excitatory jolt that basically screams at the next brain cell, hey, this feels good, do it again.
But here is the major catch. Your brain cells, they have their limits. As the saying goes, they prefer to be tickled, not bludgeoned. So when we're constantly hammering them with these dopamine hits from endless scrolling and notifications, they actually start to protect themselves. And they do that by shutting down their receptors. This has some really serious consequences. And this is what leads us straight into the dopamine crash loop. It goes like this. You get a hit. Your dopamine spikes way up, but then your receptors shut down to cope with the flood. The result? A crash. One that leaves you feeling flat and actually craving an even bigger hit next time just to feel normal. It's a nasty cycle that can lead to tolerance, addiction, and, unhappiness. So if dopamine is just this one kind of problematic soloist, who are the other players in our brain's orchestra? Let's meet the other neurochemicals, the ones responsible for that deep, sustained feeling of contentment.
Okay, first up is serotonin. Let's call it the mood maestro. Now, while dopamine is all about the taking of a reward, serotonin is about the feeling you get from giving, which leads to contentment. And unlike dopamine's excitatory jolt, serotonin is inhibitory. It gently tells your neurons to just rest, creating this calm sense of having enough.
And here's the best part. This amazing feeling of well-being isn't something you have to chase down. It's something you cultivate. You can naturally support your serotonin levels through really simple things like getting some sunlight, taking care of your gut health with real food, and this one is absolutely vital, through empathy and connection. See, your brain has these incredible mirror neurons that actually let you feel what other people are feeling, and that's a crucial process for producing serotonin. And that feeling of connection? It triggers our next player, oxytocin, the bond builder. You've probably heard it called the love hormone. It gets released during moments of trust and social bonding, but it doesn't just feel good in the moment. It actually builds a resilient emotional shield, protecting you from loneliness and laying a super strong foundation for lasting happiness. Now, having the right chemicals is one thing, but your body needs to be in the right state to actually use them. This is where we learn how to tune our instruments, so to speak, by focusing on that all-important mind-body connection. At the heart of this connection is the vagus nerve. I want you to think of it as your body's major highway for safety signals, connecting your brain all the way down to your gut. When this nerve is constantly on edge, you get stuck in that fight or flight mode. And when that happens, there's just no room left for joy or creativity or connection. But the good news is you can consciously reset the system. There are super simple techniques like diaphragmatic breathing. You can try the 4-7-8 technique. You just breathe in for a count of 4, hold it for 7, and then breathe out slowly for 8. Or you can even just splash some cold water on your face. That activates what's called the diving reflex. These simple actions tell your nervous system that it's safe, shifting you out of stress and back into a state of balance. So when your body finally feels safe, your mind can enter what's known as a flow state. That's a state of complete immersion in a task where time just seems to vanish. And inside the brain, something fascinating happens. The default mode network, which is basically the part responsible for your self-critical inner voice, it goes quiet. By choosing challenging, meaningful tasks, you can literally silence your inner critic. All right, so we've met the whole orchestra, and we've tuned the instruments. Now for the big question. How do you actually conduct this symphony in your daily life? Let's put it all together into a really practical framework. It really comes down to what we can call the 4 C's of contentment. First, connect. Have real, actual, face-to-face interactions. Second, contribute.
do something meaningful for someone else. These kinds of purpose-driven activities are what build long-term resilience. Third, cope. Manage your stress through good sleep and exercise. And finally, cook. Prepare real food, especially things rich in tryptophan, which is a key building block for serotonin.
You know, a great way to think about all of this is with a garden analogy. Think of dopamine as a quick fertilizer. Yeah, it gives you a nice burst of green, but if you use too much, it just burns the roots. Serotonin, on the other hand, is like the steady sunlight and the healthy soil that allows for strong, lasting growth. And the vagus nerve, well, that's your irrigation system. It has to be kept clear for all the nutrients of joy to flow. At the end of the day, you are the architect of your own well-being. By understanding how these systems work, you can consciously choose to step away from the cheap dopamine hits and instead start cultivating the rich, complex harmony of true contentment.
Real happiness isn't something you just find. It's something you build, piece by piece. You have the score. You know the instruments. So the only question left is, how will you choose to conduct your orchestra?
Hi, I'm Nanmure, and this is Neuroscience of Everything. To get your weekly dose of neuroscience backed tips and hacks, subscribe now.